time to actually unpack the things that you're doing and give people out there, business owners, some nuggets of information and many of the gems that you'll share with us today.
Be my pleasure.
So, Daphne, you have accomplished so much. And in terms of business and being a business leader, you're the founder and CEO at Roar Media Creative and also Brand Clever. Can you share a little bit about what each of these organizations do and your role there?
Yes, I can. Well, I'll start off with Raw Media Creative. The Raw Media Creative, I designed the logo and I absolutely love it because it's kind of two lions, like very powerful and strong. And Raw Media Creative, it's about helping people out there raw in a creative way. Now, I set up Raw Media Creative with my partner, Stephen Gillen. And I always say, like, hiring us is like hiring 20 people because, you know, we've both got a part of the code for the secret sauce. This is like a wonderful thing to do for people because at Raw Media Creative, we actually do 360 degrees of everything that you will need to actually be successful in business. So that's just for starters.
Thank you, Daphne. And as we all know, we're tired of talking about the pandemic, but many people have had to reinvent themselves and their businesses. And some people are continuing along as they always have. One thing that I've come really highly aware of since working with you is how many people don't understand what branding is and the significance it plays in the potential success of their business. So can you touch a little bit on that?
Absolutely. Well, I'll start with by giving some examples. A lot of people, you know, a lot of business owners are actually obsessive entrepreneurs. And if you're listening and you're an obsessive entrepreneur, well, join the club. Nice that you're watching. Now, this is a wonderful thing. But when you love what you do and you do what you love, you've got to actually take a bit of a step back and think it's about, well, it's not all about you. It's about the people that you're helping. And I see it again and again. And actually, somebody sent me their work a couple of days ago to have a look at. Absolutely fantastic professional, wonderful athlete, wonderful service to offer. But the video was all about him, you know, so he looked fantastic, you know, running across the beach and doing all sorts of wonderful things in life. But he missed the point. He wasn't involving his customers or talking about them. So, you know, in a business, you have to create a value exchange. And the reason that that's so important is because no one thrives unless there's a value exchange to be had, because your customers need to be better off for knowing you and better off for being serviced by you. And then you need to get paid. And then as a business owner, you need to not only get paid, but to have enough money to run and grow and develop your business. So this is like a really serious thing. And a lot of people, they're just so impulsive and they think about like themselves and they can get this tunnel vision, you know, and sometimes it's okay to be like that. But if you're really serious about having a successful business that's going to grow and scale, then it's a good idea to come over to Brand Clever.
Thank you, Daphne. And I think we can all, when we think of branding, when we think of global brands, one or two or three might stand out for us for a certain reason. But when we look at business leaders in our communities, business owners, and if we were to approach them and just start talking about their branding, people get a little sensitive. They get a little touchy. It's almost like it's their baby and they don't want anybody to touch the baby or get involved. So how do you navigate, like when you just shared about this person who sent in information, how do you navigate through those attachments that people have to their current branding to get them to open up and be thinking about the value exchange?
Well, it's quite easy because when you ask them, would they like to improve their bottom line? Would they like to earn more money? Then they start listening, you know, and that's so they should. And the thing is, it's like when you if you get very precious about your business, then be precious, treat it like a baby. But the thing is, a baby isn't going to thrive if you keep it, in a cot. You've got to stimulate that baby and give the baby learning tools and opportunities to grow and thrive. And that's the same as a business. And I think if anybody is being a bit obsessive or possessive about their business and they think that they've got it all, then I have to tell you that this is the wrong way, because only the biggest, most beautiful brands, the big successful companies, or even projects, it doesn't have to be like a full-on business, they have a dream team and they work as a team, and that's why they're successful.
Good points there. Daphne, if someone watching now or watching on the live, they're thinking to themselves, I could use a brand refresh, but I'm not really sure what's involved with that. What are the steps a person needs to take when they're working with you?
Well, what they do, well, first of all, they make themselves known to me. That would be very nice. Come and say hello, do an email. Then we have a call. They tell me what they want. And also, too, I get straight to it. In the first session, I will show you where your money it will be. In the first session, I want to hear what you really want. I don't mess around with kind of weeks and weeks of giving you some kind of lofty process or expect you to come with a business plan. I actually don't like business plans. I like business models and engineering. So the thing is, if anybody out there is really interested in, actually waking up every day excited about their business and actually see return on investment quickly, and to see, they're making a really big difference in the world, then I'm the person to talk to. If you don't want to hear and you don't want to work, I'm the wrong person to talk to.
Daphne, I want our audience, our viewers, and our listeners to know, in my experience and journey in working with you and Brand Clever and Roar Media Creative, I can't believe how this has catapulted my business from being a hobby to being an actual business. And there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes, the engineering that goes into it. You and Stephen both took the time to get to know me, and you didn't try to sell me anything. And I really appreciate that, because that was a completely different approach than anything I was used to. So as a new business owner, I have people coming out of the woodwork trying to sell me things. And in every case, whether I partner with them or not, it was always about them. And of course, it always failed. So how did you get to this point of where you are? Because you've had other successful businesses and you are experienced in many other areas. So tell us about that, if you would.
Well, I think the thing is, it's all about
My apologies. We seem to have some technical difficulties with Daphne, but I'll continue on. So just for those who might be interested, we started out as Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, and I have this platform that was really just on the radio, on Business Talk Radio. And then from there, we went to Zoom, and then we went to StreamYard. And I had the privilege of meeting Daphne during an interview on the Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich show. And at that point, I met Daphne and Stephen, and they reached out to me. And I knew that I needed to turn around or change or pivot from what I was doing with my business, but I wasn't even sure what it was I was supposed to be doing, because I never did it before. I worked in the corporate world for my entire career. And that being said, I needed guidance. And so for any of you out there who are new business owners, or maybe you're in the first year or second year of your business, there are people who contact you. They find out that you have a new business and they try to sell you. At least this was my situation. They try to sell me all kinds of things. And I believe them. And I spent tens of thousands of dollars, and they got me absolutely nowhere. So I think when you're looking at your business and you want to take it to the next level, I watch Shark Tank a lot. I don't know if any of you watch that, but I always learn something from the sharks, and I write it down, and I remember to revisit my list of notes that I've taken. Daphne actually was able to bring a number of those things to light that the sharks have shared. And one of the things was looking at your business honestly and asking yourself, is this a hobby or is it a business? So just because you love it and it takes up a lot of time, is it actually a business or is it a hobby? So Daphne and Stephen actually helped me go from having a hobby to a thriving business. And Daphne is back with us now. Hi, Daphne.
Hi, I'm sorry about that. Our neighbours are having some work done and our electric's just cut out. So I'm sorry.
That's all right. We just kept rolling. So I was just talking about how by partnering with you, I was able to go from having a hobby to a business. But before we got cut off, you were sharing a little bit about your background because you've accomplished so much. So we'd like to hear more about that.
Oh, okay. Wow. Where do I start? Actually, I was literally born on the shop floor. So my mother was an entrepreneur. She had a couple of businesses. So I grew up, working very hard. I certainly wasn't spoiled as a child. And I did my first sale at 4 years old. And I remember exactly, it was 12 lettuces a gardener would put in his garden. And I remember having the wet newspaper, and you lay the lettuce out, you fold it, you roll it up, and then the little plants won't die. I can't remember how much that was, about 10 pence. It was a long time ago. So that's really was where kind of the love of business came. So by the time I was 11, I could do stock taking, cashing up, running a staff, and all that business stuff. So as I was a young woman, I also at school, I used to be quite entrepreneurial, and I used to do haircuts for £5. I'd make you a jacket for £5. Everything was £5. But that's how I earned my pocket money. And then when I was 17, I actually found myself unemployed, out of college, because I quit art college because I didn't like the social activity. It was probably sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I was a bit of a goody two-shoes. I wasn't into any of that. And then I was ringing up the employment office to say, look, there must be something for me. Is there a job? And I used to ask 3 times a day. And then that's when I got introduced to a wonderful guy, Tony, down in Marahazine. And he said, well, look, there's this building. And I was thinking about opening a jewelry store. What do you think? I knew I had it with a vision in my head. So we opened this jewelry store, which is called the Silver Mine. We're still there today down in Marahazine. And that's when, the entrepreneurial spirit really started burning. And then it didn't stop. Then I went to London. Then I went to Germany in Düsseldorf. And then while I was in Düsseldorf, I was actually working a lot on film because I used to work on branding and styling and special effects, makeup artistry and film. And then it just everywhere I went, I just caused trouble in a really wonderful way. Because another thing that I noticed as I was doing all these projects is that I could see people and I could hear people, and I liked people and I was kind to people. And one of my kindnesses, I actually made some curtains for another mum who was on the playground. She was looking terrified. She just came in from America, and I said, well, you okay? Long story short, I made her, we bought 60 meters of fabric. I transformed her living room because at the time I had an interior design and lighting and soft furnishing manufacture business in Germany. And I did it as a kindness. And then from that, I got fit out projects right across Europe. And then I started to do my big construction design and build projects. So I could go on a bit more, but I'm going to stop there. So I would say I have business and entrepreneurialism in my blood, in my DNA.
I would say so. That is quite a background of accomplishments. Very exciting. And I think it's interesting how all of them are really interconnected. I know you shared with me that you're also a fabulous artist. So you just have this huge creative side as well as this head for business. So lucky you to have it all.
Well, I don't know whether it's having it all. I think we are born with talents, all of us, but I think it's about actually using the talents that you have. Because I know some people, like this one beautiful girl I know, she sings like incredible, like she's another Adele. She doesn't sing. To me, that doesn't make sense. Like if you have these incredible talents, then use them. So I just keep it simple. I just do what I'm good at.
I want to talk a little bit, because I think this is very important, about the business modeling that you do. So, for those who are watching or listening, when I started working with Daphne and Stephen, as Daphne said earlier, they got right to it. Where's the money going to come from? How can you monetize what it is you're doing? And so, think about all the businesses out there. And I just watched Shark Tank with my mom, I think 2 or 3 shows in a row. How many people come on? They've spent a fortune of money, and one of the sharks will say, you just have a hobby, you don't have an actual business, but I have this and I have this. So the business modeling is so important, and I'd love for you to share with people watching why that's so foundational, that it has to be right.
Well, for me, I created something called Brand Clever. Brand Clever is my own brand, which I designed. And Brand Clever is me. And the reason that I designed it, because over all the years of experience, and I've only highlighted a little bit of what I've done so much more than that. But the thing is, I was just so tired of seeing people ripped off. And also, even myself on my journey, to developing as a person, as a business person, there was so much time that I wasted unknowingly. And the thing is, because I trusted people, so I trusted what the website man said, or I trusted what the ad man said. So I paid a lot of money to be featured in certain magazines, or even appeared on TV shows as a designer. And all of that, I was thinking, well, this isn't adding up. I'm spending a lot of money, but nothing is happening. So it was a real awakening in a way, where I just thought one day, why am I going up to climb to the top of very high buildings with a hard hat on, a high vis jacket, a clipboard, and big boots? Why am I doing this when I could actually be doing design clever and helping people save a lot of money and get to their hopes and dreams really quick? So that's when I started, getting more into branding. And I remember the day, actually, there was one project I was doing in Chiswick High Road in London, and it's a beautiful project. And we just hung up the chandelier, but downstairs there was still a lot to do, and I was actually covered in dust. And a friend of mine came and said, come on, let's go out for dinner. And I remember I was covered in dust. I had a high vis jacket on, and I was so tired, because days doing design and build, they're hard days and a lot of responsibility. And I burst into tears, and I said, I want to be Tallulah, not Bob the Builder. So then that's when the next day, I literally just changed like that. But it's been so rewarding, because working in branding help people with their business modeling, we get straight to it. Now, where did all this come from? Thing is, if you're listening carefully to what I'm saying, when I'm talking about design and build, soft furnishing manufacture, projects right down through Europe, well, those things didn't happen by themselves. I did them, okay? And in the time, there wasn't the beautiful technology that we have now. Yes, there was the internet and there was emails, but it wasn't like it is now. So the thing is, I was doing all the QSing, the pricing, the designing, the calculating, the negotiating, the contracts with multicultural people, okay, successfully. And all my projects have been on time and on budget. Now, the thing is, this is where I take the business engineering from, because when you've had such a deep immersion into what I call it dancing money, is when you have you have an amount of money, and you've got to make that money, you've got to transform that money into a 10-story building that's completely fitted out, and completely, all the lights have to go on, the cables have to be in the right place, the telephones have to be on a desk, People have to know where they're going. There has to be signs. It's so much work. So what I've done is kind of simplified very complicated costings, business analysis, like financial projections, expenditure allowances, all the things. And I've simplified it into how to engineer your business model for your business. Now, when you do that first, you can forecast not ridiculous amounts of money that you might make or you might not make, but more importantly, what do you have to buy? How much is it going to cost? And every business that I've worked with has had no idea what they need. They've thought they know what they need, but they don't. So what shows up is actually I do have a secret sauce that I've never actually seen anybody else have. But it's a wonderful thing that I celebrate every day. But it's my reward after kind of 30 years of really working hard on big projects right through the world. Now, when people work with me in this way, you know, they save time, they save money, but more importantly, I don't put me on them. I get them out of themselves and out of their way. And that's like really exciting. And all the projects that I'm touching and doing, they're all really successful, like super successful. And people are growing from strength to strength. And those brands are helping other people. So it's continuously playing it forward. So does that explain a little bit?
Yes, it does. Definitely. Thank you. Daphne, I want to just touch on these online platforms. I'm not going to mention names, but when I first started, and obviously before I met you, people would say, oh, branding, you need to have a website, you need to have graphics, you need to have whatever it is. You can pay $50 and you can get somebody to do a great job for you. Or you can pay $1,000 and somebody will put a website together. It'll be up by tomorrow. So why should people approach this differently? I mean, I already know the answer, but obviously you can go online to different websites and you can pay $5, $10, $20, and you can get something and you could just throw it out there, put it out to the world. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I have a happy eye and a sad eye about this. I mean, on one point, how great it is that, you know, you can get a fast turnaround like that. That's a happy eye. And people will have a living from offering clients things like that. The sad eye is actually, it's awful. It makes me really, really sad because it's a drop in the ocean. It's a waste of money. So if you've got a graphic, but you don't have a business model, you don't know who your target audience are, you don't know where your seasonal cash flow will be, where your expenses will be in seasons, you don't know where your customers are, and you don't know whether your customer needs you for a week or for 18 months. So you're really showing up in a very weak way. And even if you have like a website that looks really fantastic, if websites are not built to monetize and so the clients can recognize a really good value exchange and they can have a great service, or they, in 3 seconds, you should know what that website is about. The pictures should load fast. It should take you on a journey. So when you just go straight to a graphic designer or straight to a web developer, if they don't know what a business model is that you're doing, they will do what they think you should have. And that might not have anything to do with your business. So then the gap widens. Yeah. So then the money goes out, the money goes out, the money goes out, the expenses go up, 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 and the clients are shrinking and shrinking, or there's maybe one or two. And another big mistake people make, they don't build their audience first. And there's a real, like, very specialist ways that you do that. And it's not through your website.
I have committed all of those errors, folks. I want everybody to know that before I met Daphne and Stephen, the money was going out, the money was going out, the money was going out. And it was very transactional relationships that I had with people making graphics, doing a website. And so there was no strategy, there was no business modeling, and there were no results. So there was just a lot of content put out there. So if anybody has questions about this or comments, we would love to hear from you, take your comments, or answer any questions that you might have. All right, Daphne, we're going to take a short break, and I am just excited to play this music video because it always makes me feel good. It's from our friend Sam Sarah, and it's called Nothing Is Wrong with Me. And then we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV, home of Talking Heads, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. You are watching or listening to the Business Talk Show. My co-host, Mr. Al Cini, has the day off. We wish him well and look forward to having him back next week. And our wonderful guest is Daphne Diluce. So glad that you're here, Daphne. She is the CEO and founder of Roar Media Creative and Brand Clever. In our first segment, Daphne gave us some wonderful tips about why branding is so important, the necessary building and money modeling, business money modeling that has to take place in order to be successful. And we talked a little bit about how we can just continuously throw money out the door, throw money in the street by thinking tactically instead of strategically. Daphne, how'd I do?
Wow, fantastic. I'm very impressed and I'm very happy. It's wonderful how you actually translate the way that I work with you, because you don't have no hesitation. You are proactive and you do it, and then you get the results quick. And it's such a pleasure to help you.
Well, thank you. I've learned so much from you. And something that I kind of knew, but I couldn't put into words, was how I sort of just run and do whatever it is I'm going to do. And I don't actually look and think how it's going to impact other things. And I think you've got a great analogy term for this. What is it?
I'm calling it Run Buffalo. Yeah. And it was Run Buffalo was born with my partner, Stephen Gillen, because if anyone knows Stephen Gillen, he's quite a man. He's a very strong man, a very bold man, a very powerful man. And he does not wait for anyone. It's like he's very assertive. He's very certain about what he's doing, and he will just charge, and that's it. But sometimes on the desk, I've had to say, well, branding doesn't pass that, and please don't run Buffalo. And I remember saying, what's running Buffalo? And I went, well, the buffalo running across the plains with all that energy, you can't actually hold them back. So don't run Buffalo, just wait a minute, as soon as everything is ready, then run buffalo. Anyway, it's a very good way to capture his imagination and his attention, because also everybody listens differently and everybody works differently. So it's about tuning in to whoever. But this buffalo thing shows up in a lot of people with drive and tenacity, which is fantastic. But I just help those kind of people make sure that they have everything that they need before they run buffalo, and then it's a good result. So that's where that comes from.
And I love it. It makes me smile every time I hear it because I do run buffalo for sure. It's like I decided to do a Halloween show hours before, I think, or maybe it was the night before. Oh, we'll get it all together. We'll just do it. So it's nice to have you to help me keep everything in alignment with the overall strategy.
Yeah, and it's important. And the thing is, it's just like I expect, all the people that I help, like when we get to a certain stage, I would expect them to run buffalo, but really well. It's just like, well, I don't hear any buffalo, not doing anything. What are you doing? Because the thing is, just like talent, it's like I said before, you have to use the talent, you have to do the work, and there's no magic pill that's going to get you what you want when you want. You have to do the work. That's why, I do come with a warning sign, like if you're afraid of being successful, don't call me. If you're afraid of hard work, please go away. If you don't want to do a value exchange, well, let's look at the flowers instead, right? Doesn't work. You have to be, on your game and awake and ready to really roar loudly in this world. And we need like wonderful people to roar loudly. And I've got some really exciting new brands coming up. And yet, just yesterday, I had a delightful talk with a lady in America that we both know. And there's something she's going to do in this world that is so special. She didn't even see it. So you see, it's about drawing out the brand from the person, because, people have a mountain of value in them. They don't even know it's there.
You do see things in people that they don't see in themselves. And that was definitely true and is true because we continue to evolve and our relationship continues to evolve and we're always doing and creating new things. Daphne, I'd love to spend the remainder of the show talking about Roar Media Creative. You do so much more than branding, and you touched on this a little bit in the beginning. But as a business owner, we need more than one thing, right? We need a number of things so that we can be successful and continue growing, getting the message out. So what all do you do over at Roar Media Creative?
Oh, it's so lovely over at Roar Media Creative. We create content. So we have a publishing arm, so we can publish books. And not only do we publish books, we actually can turn those books into films, or TV series, that kind of thing. We can do all the book design. We can even ghostwrite the books for you. So the publishing arm is really exciting. Then we have product design. That's a wonderful department where, if people need like a unique product to sell. One of my brands, he's a lovely guy, and he's doing actually educating people, couples with finance. And I'm just finishing off a card deck as couples play games with finance and money. And it's just so cool. So instead of couples arguing about money, hopefully they'll be laughing and doing strategy instead. But that's an example of a product. And these products are very important because that's a part of the monetization, because then you create the value that you have something to sell. But the thing is, you can't run off and go and just make a product, because if it doesn't go with your business engineering and the audience and the whole thing, if it's not thought out as a project, then it doesn't work. So, but product design is one of the things we do. We also make films. So we make anything from a motion graphic right up to commercials, to advertising, to branded documentaries. right up to a full-on movie that you'll see in your local picture house. So there's that side of it. And then there's PR and marketing. And this is where Stephen, my partner, is a superstar here. I've never known anyone being able to create profiles, get people in the press, out there, connected with people that you wouldn't even dream that you could even talk to. So Stephen is actually, he's kind of like an ace card at that. And not only that, he's also a very successful brand. Now I wonder who helped a little bit with that. Stephen had a huge life before I even met him, but when we got together, it was just like a lot of magic happened, because the thing is, it's about bringing everything to life and actually making things real. And the books become real, the films become real, the profile goes out everywhere. And then before you know it, your life is really transformed. So that's the PR marketing side. Also, when people already have what I would call a well-established, seasoned business, and they're ready to go up on the next level with branded documentaries about their companies or about their life story, and they want to kind of really get out there with their story, but at the same time they want to have a business angle, monetize it, and actually raise their profile. Raw media are the best people to come to for that, because there's so much engineering behind that journey. But we have, partners, and we have signed contracts, and we're very strong in that way. So, we can get people to incredible places. So that's another part of raw media. And then also too, we do content creation. So we create content, all sorts of content, whether it's blogs, newsletters, content for websites. Like I say, we do 360 degrees of everything you need for a business. And I always say a business has 1,000 layers. And the customers that we have and all our clients and colleagues, we all see the whole relationship as forever friends, because we're there forever, because a business is always growing and changing. There's this wonderful momentum, and there's ups and downs, and it changes. And then as society changes and whatever's going out into the world, that will also affect your branding. And sometimes it gets, not sometimes, it's always exciting on the desk, but something will come out in the news, and then I've already got pictures of my clients. I've already know all sorts of things. I've got branded assets, and then I can say to Stephen, we need to do a press release on this, and I can pull something together within the hour. And then before you know it, press release is out to like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of contacts that we have. So the raw media creative is a very exciting place, and it is a place where people get results.
And speaking of results, I would be remiss if I didn't let our audience know that you are the creator of The Listening Mentor and also of Talking Heads. So I would love, as we close out the show, if you would share with people, this is the business show. They need to know more. What is Talking Heads, and why should people care?
Well, people should care, because Talking Heads is a most fantastic educational broadcasting system. So whether you want to be a talking head, and a talking head is an expert at mastery level that educates and broadcasts out into the world. So whether you are watching a talking head or being a talking head, that's why people should care. And this is a fantastic model. And we've got our first wave of talking heads which have signed up, and we're working with them now. And what we do when we onboard talking head, but we do disqualify a lot of people. You have to be ready. You have to have at least 5 years experience in your industry. You have to be at mastery level, and you actually have to show up and be interested and actually have a value exchange. So we're very fortunate. We have a lot of wonderful people who are signing up for this. So as probably in 3 months' time, you'll be able to see so much more, because we'll have content made. We'll have certain platforms up, and then people can actually learn from these amazing talking heads.
Thank you, Daphne. It is very, very exciting, especially as we're onboarding the first wave of talking heads who have so much to share. And I would love if you could just touch on the listening mentor and what sparked this idea for you, and what does it mean to people out there watching or listening?
Well, when I first met you, Dr. Jacalyn, you had 2 brands which I could identify, but I had to explode them into 5 brands. And then I noticed that when I would, we'd have our weekly meetings, and then I would, give you the feedback from our last meeting, and then I would create things for you to see and show you things and start working with you. I noticed that you listened so well. And then what you would do, not only would you listen, you would actually play back what I said. Now, this is a rare thing, because a lot of people don't listen, but they say that they do, and then they will tell you you're not listening. And then some people will even talk all over people. They're definitely not listening, they're talking. And I just recognize this as a superpower. And why this is a superpower is that when someone can listen, then you can hear things that are life-changing. And not only are they life-changing, they can change other people's lives. And also, when people are heard, it's incredible. And the thing is, when you look at kind of relationships, because one thing that Stephen Gillen and I are very proud of, that one of our high value creative is relationship mastery. It's about mastering relationships. And you can only have a great relationship if you can actually be heard, and actually if you can listen. So if that's off kilter, then you can go along for a while, but somewhere down the road there'll be a kind of either a bust up or a row or a storm that will have to change things. So I noticed that in you, and I noticed how powerful your questions were as well. And that's when I came up with the listening mentor. Anyway, I'm not going to divulge all your secrets here, but you have a lot, and anybody that signs up on your course is going to be, they're also going to learn a lot from you, and they are going to also have a superpower and a positive secret weapon, not weapon for the negative, but quite the contrary, to be able to strengthen and to help people really step forward and do what they're supposed to be doing. That is a fantastic thing you're doing as a listening mentor.
Thank you so much, Daphne. And as a result of creating that brand and people signing up and graduating from the part 1 and part 2, we now actually have a show where we feature people that I've called elevated listeners. And why are we doing this? Because I want the world to know that these people are going to listen to you. If you want to do business with them, they're listening. If you're in a personal relationship, they're listening. They're taking their knowledge level and their personal development and professional development to another level. So thank you so much for your creative idea that we are now together helping facilitate world peace, one elevated listener at a time.
And isn't that fascinating and wonderful if you just feel that? But I'd like to tell the audience a little bit else what I've seen is with a listening mentor, you actually started to work with voice and singing. And I was at that seminar, and it was incredible how people were actually having breakthroughs and transformation through listening, but through listening to their own song. So this stuff goes very deep. It's magical. So if you're lucky enough to be on one of Jacalyn's courses, don't hesitate.
Thank you, Daphne. It's been such a pleasure having you here and sharing everything that you're doing with the world. It's a very small amount that we shared today. We'll have you back because the goodness and the beauty that you have put into the world just keeps, it's like the ocean, just keeps rippling, rippling, and rippling. So keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's been my pleasure. And we are showing your banner, but I'm going to spotlight you. And if you could share how people can reach out to you and who should contact you.
Okay, well, I've got an unusual name, Daphne Diluce, the one and only. So it's very easy to remember. My email is daphne@daphnedeluce.com. So the people that should contact me are people who seriously want to be able to get to know who they are and to step into their greatness and their light and have a lot of fun doing it. People who are willing to work hard, to give a value exchange, and to get kind of like 10x or x 100 more than they're doing now. Those are the people that should be emailing me.
And once again, I highly recommend working with Daphne and Stephen. They have completely transformed my business and even helped transform me in many ways. I have grown exponentially as a result of this relationship and collaboration. So many, many thanks.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, thanks again for having me on the show. And I look forward to playing it back and watching it. And thank you for interviewing me, because usually I'm the one in the office doing the modeling, or the one driving, or the one, well, I'm not on camera, I'm doing stuff.
Also, you're behind the scenes.
Yeah, people say to me, didn't you see it on social media? And I went, no, I switched social media off. I'd never get anything done. Anyway, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again, Daphne. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Our next two shows are exactly what I said, featuring elevated listeners, people who have taken the Power of Listening courses 1 and 2, and they are going to share what it is that they have learned from really focusing on the art of listening. If you are an expert listener or an elevated listener, it's a journey. It takes work like anything else, but you will not believe how your life will be transformed. People will look at you differently. You will just all of a sudden realize yourself how much you've missed out on because you weren't listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Daphne. And again, we'll look forward to seeing you just around the corner, I think it's in about 5 minutes or so, on the Listening Mentor. Thanks again. Take care of yourselves. And we really appreciate your loyalty. Bye.